Hello everyone, today we're going to be reviewing the SuperTooth Disco Twin Bluetooth speakers. Now these speakers are unusual for a couple of reasons. One is there are two of them. Typically in Bluetooth speakers you don't find stereo speakers or things that are dual speakers like these two, but that's the case here, is that you do have dual speakers. The next thing that's unusual is that they're 16 watts each. And by my math, that's 32 watts total power. And these speakers actually sound like they've got 32 watts of total power, and you'll see that in a minute on how loud these things really are. The next thing is that they sound really good compared to a lot of the Bluetooth speakers I use, which is most of them. The SuperTooth Disco Twins really do sound much better in sound performance compared to everything else. So with that, let's listen to hear how they sound. I'm going to use some nice non-copywritten music so that none of us get in trouble, and we're going to listen to the SuperTooth Disco Twins. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is turn them on. I always turn the left speaker on first because it's the master.
Hello.
And now the right speaker.
Hello.
And then they're going to pair with each other. And now we're going to try playing some music.
Left. Right.
See, they know their left from their right, which is the thing you always want in speakers. All right, and we're going to play the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Just to give you, again, a feel for how loud these things really are. So we're going to play our music here. Now you're probably thinking, hey, that's not that loud. Well, that's only half volume. Now we're going to play Dixie. Now, don't know how you were able to tell how these sounded, but the bass on these are good. They're not exceptional. It's not like they have a subwoofer attached to them, but they are pretty good. They are very, very loud, probably twice as loud as the next loudest portable Bluetooth speaker that I've ever used. Which might make sense because there's two of them. And again, the overall clarity is great too. So from a Bluetooth speaker standpoint, man, I really just don't know how you could beat them at this size and this price point. Okay, now here's the back of the speaker. So you charge here, and you have to charge each speaker individually. And then you've got an audio in case you want to plug them directly into something. Now, one thing you might be able to see, it's kind of hard to maybe picture, it says master and left. And that is because you want to pair the left speaker with your device, whether it's an iPhone, or iPod, or other Android type device. You pair the left, and then it pairs itself to the right. So keep that in mind. You don't want to pair it with the right. If so, you're going to have to unpair it and then go back. What I found when I made the mistake, because I don't always read the directions first, was I got a lot of interference when I tried to pair the right speaker and left speaker. And so I took it back down and just repaired the left, and it works great. So keep that in mind. Run everything off the left speaker. Okay, in addition to the speaker, you also get this snazzy little travel bag. One for each speaker, of course. I feel like I'm going to say, but wait, there's more. You get the travel bag that the speaker fits in, and of course, the charger and an auxiliary input. So everything you need to transport your speakers wherever you want to go is right there with you now. They are relatively big, so they're not going to fit necessarily in a backpack if you're going to take both of them, maybe on an airplane. But for taking to the beach, taking outside, that's fine. And one of the things you're going to notice too is this is one of the few Bluetooth speakers that you can actually take outside and use them and listen to them and be able to hear them. So they're effective both indoors and outdoors. Another thing that my wife likes is that they actually are attractive speakers. And she even said that I could place these next to our television, which in our household is unheard of. That there's a speaker out there that she actually finds attractive enough that I can have on display. So another plus for them. So far you've counted a lot of pluses and not many minuses, and there's a reason for that. So let's keep going with the review. Okay, maybe a small minus is there is no remote control with the speakers. Now, honestly, I prefer not to have remote control because it means it's something that's going to get lost. You do have the ability, right here, for your power, volume up, volume down. I typically leave my Bluetooth speakers at full volume all the time, just so that it can I control it off my device, forward, back, and then obviously play and pause. And that's on both units, so you don't have to be right next to one to be able to control your sound and your volume. So maybe it's a small minus for some people that doesn't have a remote control, but for me, it really isn't a big deal. Okay, I'm going to compare the SuperTooth Disco Twins to the Shockbox SB7300, and it's going to bring out a couple things, one really good and one really bad. The Philips Shockbox SB7300 is a very good Bluetooth speaker. It sounds great, and it's roughly about the same price, so you get two speakers versus one speaker. But what you're also going to find is when I turn on and pair the Philips Shockbox, I'm going to get a lot of interference out of the Disco Twins. So that is one of the limitations for their capability. So let's first start listening to the Disco Twins to, again, Battle Hymn of the Republic. Full volume. Notice there's no interference, nice and clean. Now I'm going to turn on the you hear the interference. And now we've moved it to the Philips Shockbox. Or this is to the, I'm going to turn it up. Good sounding speaker, but not nearly the volume. Back to the Disco Twins. Okay. So what you should have seen is that the Disco Twins have a lot more volume and actually sound quite a bit better than the Philips Shockbox, which actually sounds very good on its own, and it's all the same price. You also saw that once I paired the Philips Shockbox with my iPad, I got a fair amount of interference in the right Disco Twin. So the only way I'm able to get rid of that interference now is to turn my Bluetooth off from my SuperTooth Disco Twins, and then reconnect it with the Philips Shockbox off. So keep that in mind. If you're running more than one Bluetooth speaker at a time, especially if they're in close proximity, you're going to get interference with your Disco Twins. Okay, a few final last words on the Disco Twins. I haven't mentioned battery power. At high volumes, you'll get 3 to 4 hours of playtime out of these speakers. At lower volumes, you can get up to 10 hours. And once they're depleted, it takes about 2 hours for them to get charged fully back up. They run at 2.4 gigahertz. So again, you saw where with other speakers in roughly the same frequency comes into play, they do get some interference, or can get some interference. And you get about 10 meters of Bluetooth performance. So, and that's standard, about 10 meters is what you'll find on everything. They are fully functional in terms of the top of the speaker unit. So there's not much of a need for remote control. They offer 16 watts of power each, which I think is actually pretty darn good, and 32 watts total. And I think the overall sound of the performance stuff and volume and quality is the best I've seen. So for me, it's a pretty easy 5-star recommendation. I do wish they didn't have interference when other Bluetooth devices are nearby, but you got to take the good with the bad when it comes to that, and it really isn't that big of a negative. So 5 stars. I think that it's a pretty easy recommendation from my standpoint, and I think you'll really enjoy them.